I am so grateful to have known Father Brad during my time at Duke. He had an amazing sense of humor, and no matter how stressed I was when I would show up to Mass or Holy Hour, he could always make me laugh and brighten my day with a smile or one of his jokes. Even after I graduated, he continued to reach out to me on a regular basis to check in and see how my faith life was doing. I really appreciated his friendship, and he served as an incredible example of what it means to follow Christ in this world. The Duke community was brought closer to God by his actions and his presence, and he will be greatly missed by many.
I, like so many, have very fond memories of Father Brad, particularly of our work together on the DCC lecture series. He was always supportive, both in his counsel and in his faithful presence at all of our events, and he was never without a good quip, even if sometimes a bit barbed. Above all, Father Brad loved the Lord, and he loved being his priest, and particularly a priest consecrated to him as a son of St. Francis. He was a man who knew he had been touched by the mercy of God, and it was obvious in his gritty spiritual simplicity that he was genuinely striving to live that poverty of spirit and material goods at the heart of the Franciscan charism. I can attest too that on a few occasions Father Brad gave me very sound personal advice, and with real conviction, and it was that plus his priestly witness that so contributed to my own discovery of my vocation to be a Dominican friar. We miss you, Father Brad, and we here at the Dominican House of Studies in Washington are praying for you. May you rest in the peace of the Father's house.
Father Brad was one of the first real spiritual fathers to me during my deeper conversion in college, and I'll be forever grateful for the ways he joyfully witnessed to his priesthood and his Franciscan identity. One of the greatest gifts that Father Brad gave me was the gift of his friendship, and especially just the ways that he modeled just a great vulnerability and embrace of his own humanity. And the deep love that he had for Mary was something that I am eternally grateful for. And one of my favorite memories of Father Brad is going to Jamaica together on a mission trip during my senior year. And I was so moved when we were with the Missionaries of Charity, and Father Brad was preaching to the people outside before they came in for the lunch service. And just the zeal and the enthusiasm in Father Brad's voice. He truly had a heart for the poor, and that's where he came most alive. And just seeing Father Brad be truly a father to the poor, to the least of these, was such an incredible gift. I rejoice in having had the opportunity to share those moments with him and know that, in his embrace of his poverty, he was able to reach me and many others just to reveal the truth of who we are. Love you, Father Brad. I'm praying with you.
Father Brad was one of the first priests I ever knew, and one of the first priests I became friends with. He heard my first confession, he received me to the church, and as I was thinking about him today, one of my favorite memories is back in his old office in the FA, where Evan Westcott was usually there, we'd share glasses of Chinterba, and I remember his wicked sense of humor and usually sarcastic comments that would turn into this just loud laugh as he'd tip back in his chair wearing his habit, just laughing. And we shared many afternoons, and I'm thankful for all those conversations. His availability, generosity to me at my time at Duke was really special. So I'm thankful for him, and I miss him a lot. Thankful for the DCC.
My senior year at Duke, Father Brad taught me a thing about love that I'll never forget. That fall semester, I had been fighting for months with my sister, who had been my best friend prior to that, but something happened between us and our relationship just kind of fell apart that semester. And at the end of it, I was invited to go on the Duke and Altum retreat at the end of Christmas break. And I thought, great, an excuse to cut my break short and not have to be in forced contact with my sister. So I went on the retreat. And that was honestly the first time I ever think I really experienced the graces of the sacrament of reconciliation. but I didn't think anything of it other than kind of just going through the normal motions. So I went and I found myself confessing what I guess was the sin that I felt, harboring so much hatred for my sister at the time. And before I knew it, I was crying uncontrollably in the middle of this confession. And if you knew Father Brad, you knew that he was quite a stoic person. So I was pretty embarrassed by the hysterics, but he just very gently told me something like, the only answer ever is love. And after that confession, when saying my penitence, I was just hunched over on my knees, bawling in the pews before the altar and just praying to God that he would teach me to love better. And still to this day, I think about that all the time when I get in a fight with my sister or my mom or whoever it is, that at the end of the day, God calls us to love, and that means unconditional, sacrificial love, to love even when it's hard, and because it's hard, we'll only come out of it stronger and stronger in love too. And Father Brad showed me that, and I'll always be grateful.
Hi, my name is Brother Tim, and I had the privilege of living with Father Brad during the summer of 2019 while I was interning at the Duke Catholic Center. Now, I have a lot of great memories of Father Brad, but the one that I wanted to share was my last day at Duke. He sat me down, we talked, and he gave me this advice. We can never allow the spirit of prayer to diminish in our lives. The moment we extinguish prayer is the moment that everything around us becomes darkness. I never forgot that. Father Brad was always a man of prayer. He was always a man of peace because of his prayer life. So Father Brad, thank you for your ministry to the people of God. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for being a light in our lives during our moments of darkness. And because of you, we will remember to never cease praying.
My favorite memory of Father Brad is one that I still look back on and laugh and smile about. And I remember when I visited Duke 2 years ago, I told him this memory, and he laughed because I guess it brought back that memory for him too. It actually happened during my freshman fall when I attended Awakening for the first time. And that Sunday, before we returned to campus, Father Brad came to give Mass. And during Mass, during communion specifically, he was, giving the host to everyone and everyone who was in the stands. And after everyone from the stands had taken it, he looked down and saw that there were so many left over. I was watching as he did this, and I could just see his facial expression of disbelief, really, because he, I guess in his mind, was saying, oh no, I'm gonna have to eat all of these myself. I must have overcounted. So I see him reaching for a whole bunch, and he just starts, shoveling them kind of into his mouth. And then Andrew comes over, running toward him and pats him on the back. He's like, wait, no, the music division hasn't, gotten the host yet. And it was just so funny to see his expression. And I think this memory will always stick with me just because it shows, what a funny side Father Brad had to him. Such an easygoing, really just, beautiful person. And that's something I think that will be really missed by everyone who knew him. And Father Brad, you are loved and you're missed.
I don't ever really remember meeting Father Brad. And he always felt like he was a part of your life. It seemed like he had always been there. He always had a very special place in your heart. It always felt like he knew you on a level that sometimes you didn't even know yourself. He always just carried a sense of wisdom about him, a sense of peace that he was willing to share. Even when he was troubled or he was frustrated, he could always put that aside and be there for you in a really meaningful way. He was just very compassionate and loving and always there and always willing to go out of his way. I still truly miss his presence and his friendship, his teaching, and the way that he left wisdom in our lives that would come back minutes or days afterward. You just remember something that he said in a homily that hit you so many days later, and because he just had such a gentleness and such a way of conveying things into our lives that it always did feel like it was there, and that you always knew that it was exactly what you needed to hear. So Father Brad, we all know that you are looking down upon us, and continue to bless us with your love and presence and oversight, and help us to feel you each and every day, even if you can't be with us. We love you so much.
I'm so grateful for Father Brad's friendship and his mentorship over the years, particularly through the Encounter Social Justice program. His passion for serving the poor was always inspiring to me and encouraged me to be a better Catholic and a better leader. I'll miss his kind greetings walking into Mass, his ridiculous Snapchats, and his authenticity in meeting students wherever they were in the faith.
Father Brad arrived at Duke when I was a sophomore, and over the 6 years of knowing him, he became one of my best friends. We'd stay up late talking about the Catholic Center or nothing of the world. He taught me how to play backgammon, and I got to teach him how to play stump. And I'll always cherish those memories. But even harder than losing a dear friend is losing my spiritual guide. He was always there for me whether I needed a quick confession, whether I needed to just talk about what was going on in my life. He gave me advice on everything from my prayer life to my relationships with my friends and my girlfriend. And even when things were getting worse for him, he had time to look out for me. It's been really hard to deal with this because he's the person I would have gone to talk about these things. And he touched my soul in so many different ways, and I know he has been such a meaningful part of the community for everyone else. And though he's gone, I know he is loved and he is missed.
I want to give thanks to God for Father Brad, because he's the one who received my vows when I renewed them in my time at Duke. He's the one who installed me as a lector when I was at the friary there. So there are a lot of special moments that I share with him, a lot of laughs, and just a reminder of how important the brotherhood really is. So I thank God for him and for his witness to the gospel on Duke's campus and in many other places.
I miss him terribly. I still miss him a lot. And I just wanted to remember three things, I guess. First was Father Brad had a heart for desperation. He, like Christ, realized, he couldn't necessarily fix everything, but he could bear burdens. And he never ran away. Just kind of always stepped into it. The second thing I admired about him and loved about him was his honesty. It was so refreshing to be around someone who just told you what he thought or what he felt. Never really held back or pulled punches. And I guess the last thing is his love of Jesus and Mary. I would sit sometimes in adoration, and I would be distracted watching Father Brad pray. That was moving for me. Like, he led me to the Lord by his example, by his love. I was sad that when we lost him, because I realized how much of a role model I lost, how much of a way sign I lost that day. I miss him a lot, but I know for a fact that he has led me closer to Jesus and countless others. And that is the example I know I want to follow in my own life. I will hopefully get to thank him in person one day. But for now, I'm stuck seeing him on Sundays when I visit Mass or when I go to chapel, and just spending time with him in the body of Christ. And I hope that others who mourn him and miss him as much as I do get to do that. So the time of sadness is hopefully coming to an end, and we can rejoice knowing that our brother, Father Brad, is happy and making a room for us and praying for us in heaven.